What's up, my brothers and sisters? Thank you for tuning in today. We just give God all the honor, the praise, and the glory once again to be coming before you with this opportunity on today. We're at our 6th episode, season 3.
Yes.
Praise God for that. And we're going to still focus on life because we're talking about Black History Month. So we're going to focus on life this month. I know we celebrate Black History 365, but that's our focus this month, Black History. And the topic is African Americans' influence on the music industry. African Americans' influence on the music industry. Now, last week, we had our first part. We talked about Thomas Dorsey, the father of gospel.
Yes.
And one of the sons of gospel, which is Hezekiah Walker, who took gospel to a whole new level.
Yes, sir.
Well, today, part 2, we're going to be talking about R&B and soul. R&B and soul. So we just first of all, we want to give a shout out to all of our fellow podcasters out there on BS3 Network.
Yes.
As our special shout out to our son, Mr. Podcaster himself. We like to call him the Pod Father. And we honored him last night as the hardest working man in podcasting.
That's right.
So we celebrate Ben Sudderth III on today. He features podcasters over 25 different shows on topic of sports and music and spirituality and family and life, and also on politics and comedy, society, culture, movie, TV reviews, and even relationships.
Yes.
So we want to make sure we give a shout out to all our fellow podcasters out there. But if you're interested, if you're interested in joining BS3 Network or starting a podcast or have any questions regarding podcasting, please don't hesitate to contact him, BS3 Network, at bs3coaching.square.site. And that website is on the screen, bs3coaching.square.site. And also, if you'd like to contact us, any questions or possible subjects or topics, anything of that nature, please don't hesitate to give us a contact, which is at our email address, Sudds-R-Us at gmail.com, which is also on the screen, Sudds-R-Us at gmail.com. We want to thank you all today for joining us. Please hit that like button. Please make any comments you'd like to make, and please share. Hit that share button and share with your friends and your family so we can get an increase in our viewership. We just thank you for tuning in once again.
Yes, thank you. Before we get started, want to just recognize our guest, Ben Sudderth III. Thank you for tuning in.
All right.
Facebook user, if you are still with us, please go to the post on Facebook and click that StreamYard link so that you can have your name shown. But thank you for tuning in.
Yes.
As well as Brian D. Williams. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you, guys. So we're going to talk about today. We're going to do a little singing today, y'all. The Staple Singers.
All right.
The Staple Singers. Are you old enough to remember the Staple Singers? We're dating ourselves, but they were a very popular group in the gospel, soul, and R&B categories. And the group consisted of Pops. They called them Pops, Staples. But come to find out, his name was Roebuck. Roebuck Pops Staples. They gave some names back then. Ooh, he's the patriarch of the family who formed the group with his children. I just love their history. There was Cleotha, there was Purvis, there was Yvonne, and of course, there was the soulstress herself, Mavis. And they are best known for their 1970 hits, Respect Yourself, If You're Ready, Come Go With Me, and Let's Do It Again. So while the family name is Staples, they dropped the S for their group. So it's just the Staple Singers. And they originated in Chicago and were active from 1948 to 1994. The Staple Singers. Now, Mavis continues to sing to this day, but the family began appearing in Chicago area churches in 1948. So the first public singing appearance was at the Mount Zion Church in Chicago, where Roebuck, or Pops Staples, his brother, was the pastor, the Reverend Chester Staples.
Right.
So again, family was very important to them. They relocated and went to Chicago and hooked up with family. So they signed their first professional contract in 1952. Wow. I mean, I wasn't even born then. Right. We weren't born then. During this early career, they recorded in an acoustic gospel folk style with various labels. Okay. And they had a very popular song called Uncloudy Day. And it was an early influence on Bob Dylan, who said of it in 2015, that it was the most mysterious thing that he'd ever heard. Wow. And he think about how he would sit in school at his school desk and, think about Mavis and how she looked and thought that they were about the same age. And, and this was the album cover that she was on Cloudy Day. And then her singing, he said, just knocked him out. And Mavis was a great singer, deep and mysterious, he thought. And even at the young age, he just felt life itself was a mystery. Wow. So Mavis, like I said, has such a soulstree, raspy, preachy, and churchy vocals. It's so soul stirring. Even today, it just really has me feeling the spirit when I hear her sing. Right. So Mavis, as I said, she continued to carry on the family tradition and continues to add her vocal talents to both projects of her own, as well as other artists. Right. So she has an album in 2016 entitled Living on a High Note. And this particular album includes an acoustic version of one of Martin Luther King Jr.'s sermon. And the track is called MLK Song. So Staples was briefly married. I was wondering, about her and her siblings. I mean, they just seem to devote their whole life to this singing in the group, to a man named Spencer Leak in 1964, but they divorced when Staples decided that she was not going to end her music career. I'm sorry, Mavis. Okay. But that's her last name. But she decided she was not going to end her music career. So I can imagine what that conversation was like. He may have wanted her to stay home and have some children. And she's like, no, I'm going with Pops and the family. So as a result, they did not have any children. And in the 2015 documentary entitled Mavis, and I encourage us all to look at that. That's on HBO. But she revealed that Bob Dylan, of all people, proposed to her. Wow. And of course, she turned him down. As a side note, I can't blame the sister. But anyway, that's a big wow. It's like, Bob, really?
Brother had coverage. So I gotta give it to him.
I just couldn't imagine the two of them together, especially now, But anyway, she's so beautiful. But Mavis, as a solo artist, has some songs that I heard for the first time this week, and highly recommend that you listen to them. Not necessarily music, but the lyrics were just powerful. One of them is entitled Action. And here are some of the lyrics. Who's going to do it if I don't? I'm sick and tired of feeling sick and tired. They say my words might get me fired. What a terrifying time to raise our voices. But see, I'm not left with many more choices. I got to put it into action. Yes. So check that one out. Action, melody, cool. I love that one. She's just saying how cool she is. She got a melody, on top of that. And then MLK Song. So I recommend those. But the song, as I mentioned, Respect Yourself, was used by Spike Lee in the soundtrack to his movie Crooklyn, which was made in 1994. Do you remember that was one of our children's favorite movies? That little boy had to try to eat them black eyed peas. Oh my gosh. But I love the song Respect Yourself, especially that second verse where Mavis begins to sing, if you're walking around thinking that the world owes you something 'cause you're here, you're going out the world acting like you did when you first come here. Yeah. Keep talking about the president won't stop air pollution. Put your hand on your mouth when you cough. That'll help the solution. Or you cuss around women and you don't even know their name. Nah. Then you're dumb enough to think that'll make you a big old man. Yeah, yeah. Respect yourself. Nah. Respect yourself. Respect yourself. Respect yourself. If you don't respect yourself, ain't nobody gonna give a good cahoot. Nah. Oh, respect yourself. Respect yourself. I tell you, that song sting. That song sting. That song does something to me. But that's self-empowerment for us as a people. And back then, it just had a universal appeal. I mean, it released in a period immediately following the intents of the civil rights movement of the 1960s. And now, you know, that thing still applies. You know, it's a movement back then, but it's still a movement now. That if our people, you know, our Black brothers and sisters, if we would stop talking, you know, taking each other's lives, talking about each other, belittling one another, demeaning each other in a way that, you know, to make oneself look good. You know, a lot of times people do that to make themselves look good, you know, whether if it's in a joking way or whether they mean it or not. And also they can be so sarcastic about it. But, you know, come on now, we've got to stop tearing each other down. And stop killing one another, because I know that the policemen are like, we don't need to help them, although they are, but you know, we're doing a pretty good job of taking each other's lives as Black people. So this song just says, you know, respect yourself, then you'll get respect from someone else. But the next popular song by the Staple Singers it says, "I'll Take You There." Now this song originated from the songwriter grieving about his murdered brother. It's a very uplifting song, and it comes, as I mentioned before, from a tragic story. They were with Stack Records. I don't know if y'all remember Stack, STAX. Oh, I could just see that album, that mark on the back of the album. But it says the vice president, his name was Al Bell, began writing "I'll Take You There" after attending the funeral of his second brother who was murdered. So we're going to try to do a little bit of "I'll Take You There," okay? I know a place. Ain't nobody crying. Ain't nobody worried. No. Ain't no smiling faces. No. Lying to the races. Help me. Come on. Somebody help me now. I'll take you there. Help me, y'all. I'll take you there. Help me now. I'll take you there. All right now. So after Stack Records, you know, in 1975, they went bankrupt. And the Staple Singers, which was such good news to me, they signed with Curtis Mayfield. All right. Do y'all remember Curtis Mayfield? You know, his record label was called Tom. So that was a combination of Curtis Mayfield, and the gentleman's name was Tom. I can't think of his name right now, but they were with the Impressions. And they formed their own record label. And Curtis Mayfield released "Let's Do It Again," which was written and produced by him as well. This song became the Staple Singers' second #1 pop hit in the United States. And the album was also successful. This song was a part of the soundtrack of the Bill Cosby, Sidney Poitier film, Let's Do It Again.
Let's Do It Again, right.
Now, I'm going to go ahead and divert to Curtis Mayfield since I'm already there, but his first achieved success and recognition with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inducted group The Impressions during the Civil Rights Movement. And later he worked as a solo artist. Wow. So he's known for his prolific songwriting that addressed social change and consisted of hard-hitting commentary of the state of affairs in the Black and urban ghetto of the times. So the commercial and critical peak of his solo career came with the song Superfly and the soundtrack to the Superfly film. So Curtom master tapes are now owned, unfortunately, by Warner Brothers Records. And I'm sure the Mayfield family has some ownership in that as well. But the subsequent reissues of these wonderful sounds from Curtis Mayfield are now under Warner's supervision. That's kind of sad. I hate to hear that over and over again, but they did the best that they could with what they knew and what they were working with. But some of his familiar songs are We're a Winner and Keep on Pushing, Freddie's Dead, People Get Ready, Pusher Man, and Superfly. Now back to the Staple Singers. I know I kind of diverted for a minute, but their hit song, Let's Do It Again, as I said, was a 1975 American action crime comedy film directed by and starring Sidney Poitier, God rest his soul, and Bill Cosby, along with Jimmy Walker. Now, I forgot he was in that, with an all-star Black cast. Now, Pop Staples, as we conclude, he had complications from a concussion that he suffered in December of 2000. That's when he passed away. Cleotha died in Chicago on February 21st, 2013, at the age of 78. And she suffered from Alzheimer's for over a decade. That is such a crazy disease. God knows. Yvonne Staples died on April 10th, 2018, at the age of 80. Wow, they got longevity in their family now. Purvis Staples, he died suddenly in his home in Illinois on May 6th, 2021, at the age of 85. Wow. And as I said before, Mavis continues to perform with vigor, and her vocals are stronger than ever. So on a legacy note, and the influence that they've had on the arena of music itself is just phenomenal. They were inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1999 and the Gospel Music Hall of Fame in 2018. They were also honored with a marker on the Mississippi Blues Trail in Drew, Mississippi. And in 2005, the group was awarded the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award. So our hats are off to the Staple Singers. Definitely. We salute them and their family. And Mavis, you keep on keeping on, sister. You singing your heart out.
All right. Wow. We want to recognize. All right, Mama Joe. Good afternoon, family. High Point, North Carolina, and amen. So true. That's so true. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you. Now, the group I want to present to you today, formed back in 1962 in Kansas City, Missouri. The group was a high school doo-wop group called the Sinceres. Now, we sung a little doo-wop back in our day, back on the block in Hickory, North Carolina, when we had a little wine, if you know what I mean, a little Will I Run, Wild Irish Rose, maybe a little Thunderbird, we call Screaming Eagle. And let me just give a shout out to my old group that we had, Coco Brooks and Greg Rose, who have gone on home to be with the Lord. And also along with Alan Mitchell and Richard Lawrence, who are still with us. We just saw them last year when one of our brothers had a homegoing service for his mother. Right. But in 1967, the band was backed by and toured with a large Kansas City horn band known as Smoking Emeralds. Now, Smoking Emerald, that's an interesting name. I want you to remember that name. We're going to reflect back to Emeralds. And performed its version of the Motown style review, which drew large crowds at a venue called The Place in West Point District, Kansas City. Now, by 1971, after learning how to play their own musical instruments, they didn't need the services of the Smoking Emeralds horn band anymore. So their band and vocals consisted of Melvin Webb on drums, Roger Durham on percussions. We had Charles Love on guitar and vocals, born Charles D. Love Jr.
All right now.
Charles McCormick on bass, Harry Williams on percussions, and Willie Drafin on guitar. Then they moved to Los Angeles, California, where they met their prospective manager, George Braustein and Ron Hamady.
Wow.
The band also replaced their drummer, Melvin Webb, with Eddie Summers, a resident of Los Angeles, California. So the manager decided to change their name from the Sinceres. Y'all ready now? Y'all ready? From the Sinceres to Bloodstone. And their careers took off. Now, the interesting thing is in their name. I'm gonna divert just for a minute now. We're gonna come back to the musical group in a minute. But the interesting thing about that name, Bloodstone, I have to share with y'all, is also known as heliotrope, which is a fascinating stone with lots of meaning. Now, this dark green gem with bright red splatters has been sought out for thousands of years for its unique appearance and perceived healing properties. This ancient stone has been documented in history as having powerful metaphysical abilities. Now, in the ancient world, bloodstone, or heliotrope, is called, was considered to be the most beautiful jasper, a deep earthly green gemmed and bold with spots of bright red.
Beautiful.
Called the sunstone. Now, it was later called crisis stone. Its energy carries the purity of blood and inherently speaks of life and birth, vitality and strength, passion and courage. That embodies this singing group's mentality. Now, as a talisman, it is both mystical and magical, and its virtues are protected and nurtured. Now, the most widely known legend of this stone comes from the Middle Ages, and they claim that the bloodstone was formed at the crucifixion of Jesus Christ.
Wow.
When the blood of his wounds fell into the dark green earth and turned to stone. Now, another version claims that the blood of Christ was flowed from his fatal pierced side, where the spear was thrust in his side, fell upon a green jasper, lying at the foot of the cross. And from this sprang the bloodstone variety of jasper. Now, regardless if the legend is true or not, we believe, I feel like preaching now. We believe that there's power in the blood of Jesus. I'm talking about healing power, delivering power, restoring power.
Yes.
Oh, I'm talking about redeeming power in his blood, which is now confirmed by this legendary physical stone. Listen to John 19:34-35. It says, but one of the soldiers with a spear pierced his side, and forthwith came there out blood and water. And he had saw it bear record, and his record is true. And he knoweth that he saith true, that ye might believe. Look at this scripture, referring to John's record about Jesus's crucifixion. That is true and preserved for others who believe will receive his healing and saving power. And now we're talking about music. We're talking about musical. We're talking about records and LPs and wax and cassettes and CDs and MP3s that, if preserved, can still encourage us as well when we play them. Now, what a metaphor. The record of John's gospel about Jesus and the records that we play that can encourage us just as the scriptures. So today, as then, Bloodstone is regarded as a gem of noble sacrifice and can offer courage and solace to all who are called to give of themselves for the good of others. It elicits the highest, most altruistic characters of those who wear or carry it. The bloodstone name, heliotrope, the sunstone, comes from the Greek word helios, meaning sun, and trapim, meaning to attract. Heliotropes signify sun turning, and legends were attributed to this stone to believe that when placed in the rays of the setting sun or immersed in water, it turned the reflection of the sun to blood red.
Wow.
Bloodstone. Bloodstone was treasured not only as a talisman of good health and long life, but was reputed to bring its owners respect, good fortune, riches, and fame. It's used for healing, and its connection to blood and detoxification of organs dated back 5,000 years to Mesopotamia. In many cultures, the heliotrope was dipped in cold water and placed on the body to add circulation, to transfer the power of the sun to prevent injury or disease, stop the flow of bleeding, or cure any wounds. Its conjuring effect was removed, and for this reason, ancient warriors often carried heliotrope as an amulet of protection and courage, as well as its practical applications. Ground, powdered mixed with honey, drawn out snake venom, and starch hemorrhoids. It was said simply looking at the bloodstone was believed to prevent eye disease. So I say all of that to say this, my brothers and sisters. There's no thing that we can think of that's in a name. Sometimes there's more in a name that we ever imagine.
Right.
And this musical group named Bloodstone points to the love, the grace, the mercy, and the sacrifice of Jesus Christ. So he's our example, how to treat others and how to conduct ourselves. Listen to 1 John 1:7. It says, but if we walk in the light,
my God,
as he is the light, we have fellowship one with another.
Right.
And the blood of Jesus Christ, his son, cleanses us from all sin. So the heliotrope signifies sun turning, but the light that we walk in, the light from the sun, that's S-O-N, sun, will turn our life around. So that can compare to the soothing and love intoxicating sound of R&B and soul music that promotes love and intimacy and caressing and caring, and also showing compassion and being considerate and being willing to compromise self-interest to benefit others. Oh, we back to those 5 C's of marriage again. I can't help myself. I just keep going back to the 5 C's.
That's it. That's good.
Coming from groups like the Shy Lights and Blue Magic, the Whispers and Delphonics, the Dramatics and the Manhattans, and the etc. The group Bloodstone charted, 13 songs between 1973 and 1984. Wow. Later, the group traveled to London, England, where they signed a record contract with Decca Records, which was groundbreaking and phenomenal deal because of the lack of respect African American musicians and artists received in America. So the United States still discriminated against Black performers with racist and unfair contract agreements that forced them to sing in Chitlin circuits, which were small Black clubs in the South, because of segregation. That's why Curtis Mayfield had to create his own recording studio, his own record label, because of discrimination that was thrust upon Black or African American musicians back then. This was a big deal for these young Black brothers from Kansas City, Missouri, to be able to travel to Europe. The Europeans, they loved the blues, R&B, and the soul sounds of African American music and artists. And they respected their gift more sometimes than white Americans, and also copied our style. Example, the Beatles,
right,
the Rolling Stones.
Exactly.
But the first album, 1972, was titled Bloodstone, whereas there was 2 singles released simultaneously called That's the Way We Make Our Music and Girl, You Look So Fine, written and arranged by Eddie Summers, the newest member. Now, the second album, in 1973, titled Natural High, it reached U.S. R&B top 10. The album was written by various members of the group of Bloodstone, with the single Natural High reaching number 10 on the pop charts. This was a house party favorite back in the day. I tell you, we used to dance to this under that red light in the basement. Oh man, when we was growing up. So it brings back fond memories when we were young and just beginning to fall in love. So I just want to do a little bit of this. Dun, 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 dun. Why do I keep my mind on you all the time? I don't even know you.
I don't know you.
Why do I feel this way? Thinking about you every day, and I don't even know you.
I don't know you.
Take me in your arms, fill me with all of your charm, and I'll take to the sky on a natural high, loving you more till the day I die. Take to the sky on a natural high, loving you more. Oh man, that song takes me back. I tell you, it takes me back to we were in high school and boyfriend and girlfriend, and I couldn't stop thinking about QP. I tell you, she was always on my mind. Now, this song received blanket airplay in Europe, particularly on Radio Luxembourg. It reached number 40 on the UK chart in August 1973 and was featured in the Decca World of Hits series of compilation albums. Bloodstone other hits include Never Let You Go, Outside Woman, My Little Lady. Bloodstone was instrumental in the black rock and funk movement in the 1970s. And even had a hand in the brown-eyed soul movement with some Latin music teen hits. Bloodstone performed with Marvin Gaye and Curtis Mayfield that we talked about, and Elton John and the impressions that we talked about. The 1973 album Natural High, produced by Mike Vernon, sold 1 million copies and was awarded gold disc by RIAA in July that year.
Wow.
Now let me just tell you about RIAA, which is Recording Industry Association of America. It was a trade organization that represented the recording industry in the United States. Its members consist of record labels and distributors that the RIAA saw create and manufacture and or distributed approximately 85% of all legally sold, that's the key word, legally sold recorded music in the United States. The RIAA is headquartered in Washington, D.C. Now, the RIAA was formed in 1952. Its original mission was to administer recording copy fees and problems, work with trade unions, and do research relating to record industry and government regulations. Early, the RIAA standards included RIAA equalization curve, the format of the stereophonic record groove, and the dimensions of 33 1/3, 45, and 78 RMP records.
Right.
RIA says its current mission includes, number one, to protect the intellectual property rights and First Amendment rights of all artists. Number two, to perform research about the music industry. And number three, to monitor and review relevant laws, regulations, and policies. So between 2001 and 2020, RIAA spent $2.4 and $6.5 million actually on lobbying in the United States. RIAA was participating in the collective rights of management, sound recording, and responsible for certifying gold and platinum albums and singles in the United States. And we just hope that they treat us fairly as they do also the white artists. Bloodstone achieved moderate comeback in the early 1980s with McCormick replacement by Ron Wilson. Their album, We Go a Long Way Back, like in 1982, was a title track, reached R&B top 5 on the charts.
Wow.
This is another favorite of ours. So we're gonna sing a little bit of this. We Go a Long Way Back. Doom, 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 doom. You and me, girl, go a long way back. And I'm so proud, and I'm so proud. You and me, girl. Oh, girl.
You better sing.
Go a long way back.
Yeah, we go a long way back.
All right, let's do it together now.
You and me, boy. Go a long way back.
And I'm so proud. I'm so proud. Yeah, yeah.
You and me, boy. Go a long way back. Yeah, we go a long way back.
Yes, we do. A long way back.
1975, y'all.
47 years in May. That's a long way back. Thank God we made it. We
thank
made
you,
it.
Lord, for the longevity.
Yes. They also produced follow-up singles, Go On and Cry, that reached number 18. The group continued to record into the mid-1980s. They continue to tour and perform to this day. And original members, Charles McCormick and Harry Williams, are newer member Donald Brown. Bloodstone also starred and wrote all the music for a film entitled Train Ride to Hollywood back in 1975. Roger Durham died on July the 27th, 1973, at the age of 27 after being thrown from a horse. Founding member Willis Drayfin died on February 8th, 2002 at the age of 56. And Charles Love died on March the 6th, 2014 at the age of 68. Love died of complications from pneumonia and have been battling emphysema for several years.
Wow.
In 2019, Bloodstone was honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award by the National R&B Music Society in Philadelphia. Bloodstone released 14 albums, starting back in 1972, Bloodstone, 73, Natural High, just to give you a few, 75, Train Ride to Hollywood, 78, Don't Stop, 1982, We Go a Long Way Back, all the way up to 2004. Now, that's what I'm talking about.
Wow.
Bloodstone also released 24 singles, starting back in 73, Natural High, 1975, My Little Lady, 1976, we go a long way back. 1982, also release it again. We go a long way back. In 1984, Instant Love and Bloodstone's Party. All Bloodstone. Groundbreaking, phenomenal musical band and artists. All right. You want to mention something?
No, I'm done.
Okay, you done.
I know our son said y'all better harmonize.
All right. All right.
We try.
Well, thank you all for tuning in.
Thank you.
Having fun on this Black History Month, giving you all of the beautiful history of music, African Americans, influence of the music industry. So tune in next week. We got another one. We got part 3 coming. Part 3 coming. So as we close out with a script, we want to close out. We're talking about the love of Apostle John, and this is Valentine's weekend. So we want to close out with 1 John 4, 7-8. 1 John 4, 7-8. Beloved, let us love one another, for God is of love. And everyone that loveth is born of God, and knoweth God. He that loveth not knoweth not God, for God is love. Thank you for joining us. Have a blessed Valentine's weekend. And take care.
God bless you.
God bless you.